Glad to be with you for another time together in God's Word. Going to share with you a devotional here from Grace Harbor Church in Tustin, and hopefully this will bless and encourage you today. Would like to share with you something from Psalms. A lot of Psalms come from, a lot of devotionals come from Psalms. And I think there's a lot of encouraging words in Psalms, and these are some too. So hopefully this encourages you and what I share with you about it today. Psalm 34:7 says this. It says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." Beautiful verse. And we live in a time when it seems like we're not very often delighted about much of anything. If anything, we are kind of undelighted about things. And it seems like the counsel of this verse might actually be worth more of a try. Meaning, if we're not very delighted about the things going on around us, it's a time when we focus on our spiritual life more. We can find some true delight when we're so dissatisfied with many of the things that are going on around us. And so what do? We delight ourselves in the Lord, and then He gives us the desires of our heart. This is what I was thinking about that. You know, the greatest joy I have ever known has come from Him. Of all the joys of life, the greatest joys are the joys that have come from Him. The joy of my salvation, the joy of my relationship with my wife, the joy of serving Him in His church. These are the greatest joys of my life, the joys of family. But the deepest satisfaction I've ever experienced has actually come from serving Him. And the best part of ministry is purely delightful. And that is the ministry with people, with human beings. There's tremendous great joy that comes from serving humans, because out of that you get to experience the response of their gratefulness, and also experiencing their joy. The most precious things I've ever known, He has actually provided each one. That's part of the evidence of why I can be delighting myself in the Lord. When I delight myself in Him, it always turns out well. It seems like when I start my day that way, and when I'm reminded to do that with Him, it does. It just changes the whole course of the day. When I must initiate the process, though. It has to start with me. I delight in Him, and then He, in response, gives to me the desires of my heart, particularly the ones that are in the center of His will. You see, when I delight myself in Him, I am in His will. And what I desire is what He actually wants for me. And so it makes it to be a much smoother process. So that alone makes it more possible. And when I'm out of His will, the opposite of that, trying to make things happen, that's when I struggle the most. And boy, I tell you, the struggle is real. He knows me through and through, though, and He loves me still and all. This is a quote I'd like to share from C.S. Lewis, and it's really got me choosing to delight in Him today. And I'll close with this quote and hope that you will consider it deeply. C.S. Lewis says this: "Everyone desires what God gives, whether they realize it or not." Let me say that again. Everyone desires what God gives, whether they realize it or not. He really is the most important thing. So delight in Him today.